Hi guys, I wanted to record something really quick to show you how to use Cricut Design Space on a very basic level. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go to Cricut.com, or you can go ahead and use this web address that I have at the top, and that's going to take you to the Design Space. It's basically the software that you're going to use in order to create your project. So let's pretend your project is to create bulletin board letters. So the first thing you're going to do is sign in, and you can come see me and get that sign in. It uses my email and a password because we had to associate it with an email. If you have a Cricut account, feel free to use your own, and if you have a Cricut account, I don't know why you're watching because I'm not going to teach you anything new. So once you're logged in, looks like right now it's going to try to connect us to the machine, but I'm not plugged in, so you can actually skip this part for now, and that's something I can set you up with later. So you're going to notice my name in the top hand corner, and that means that you're logged in. You want to log in case your computer crashes and you're working on a project. Maybe you're doing it at home and you're not going to cut it until you get here. So the first thing you're going to see is Cricut's projects. They have all of these pre-made projects for you that you can actually go ahead and just click on, and it'll walk you through the steps of making it. So let's just pretend I hopped on here and I was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I needed, was a bulletin board, for my bulletin board. It's going to tell you all the materials you need, how to get ready to make it, and then it will actually walk you through the assembly directions. But let's pretend you've got something in mind for your new bulletin board. You're going to come either to create new project or up to file. File is actually where you'll find stuff that people have saved before. So I'm going to create new, and it's going to open me up to a space, and you want to keep in mind that our machine, so let me actually show you the machine first, that's why I've got it on video. Our machine looks kind of like a printer, okay, and when it opens up, it has a place for a pen, and I cannot figure out how to mirror this right. It has a place for a pen, and it also has a place for the blade. And your mats are going to run through here, and they actually spit out the back end. And you must cut your stuff on a mat. It's no different than using a cutting board in your kitchen, right? You wouldn't cut your chicken without using a cutting board. And our mats are 12 by 12. So you're working in a 12 by 12 inch space as your cutting board, and which is what most scrapbook paper comes in that size anyway. So on my screen here, I tend to stick in a 12 by 12 space, and I'm going to get rid of my face for a few minutes so you can focus on the screen. Ooh, that didn't do the trick, did it? Okay, so here we go. So if I want to make a bulletin board with just text, I'm going to come down here to add text. So how about we'll do something with fall into a great book. Do whatever you want in terms of capitals, lowercase, things like that. And it's always going to default to this font. So from there, what you're going to want to do is while it's selected, you're going to want to come up here to edit. And if you're logged in, we do have some fonts for free for 3 months, and then we have to start paying. But if you're a big font person, honestly, I would just recommend, can't type today, I would recommend going to defont.com and downloading anything that you might like. If you want a tutorial on that, I can do it another day. But Cricut honestly has a good amount of fonts. I've very rarely had to purchase one. In fact, I don't know that I've ever purchased a font that I couldn't find through Cricut or Defont. So you can scroll through, look for what you want. If there's an A next to it, that means it's free for now, but we will have to pay for it after 3 months if we don't renew our subscription. And if there's a price next to it, it's going to let you apply it, but you will have to pay before you cut. So let's just pretend that this is what I have chosen. And keep in mind that the mat only cuts up to 12 inches. So right now, each of these letters are not even an inch tall. So in order to make them the size that I want them, I'm going to zoom out. And I recommend for a bulletin board, making your letters about 4 to 5 inches. That's really a personal preference. So let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I might even make it a little bit bigger. So stretch it out as large as you want. Don't worry about that 12 by 12 space, because I'm going to show you how you can take care of that. All right, so now I've got my letters as big as I would like them. And keep in mind, when it cuts, it's going to cut out these letters, and you're going to have to peel away all of the stuff you don't want. So now I'm going to highlight my word again, and I'm going to come into layers, and then I'm going to come down to the bottom of my screen, and I'm going to hit ungroup. So you might have noticed right here along the side, it all of a sudden took all of my letters apart. So if I just wanted to cut these in one color, I would be ready to go. I'm going to hit my go button. I'm going to plug in the machine, which I can personally show you later. But it's going to organize them for me in the best way possible so that I'm conserving paper, because we know this scrapbook paper can cost a lot of money depending on how much you're cutting. So it's going to conserve it for you. Now, if you're cutting vinyl, you are going to have to line these letters up individually on your wall, which can be a little more difficult since they're stickers, and we can talk about that later. So from there, all I'm going to have to do is hit go, and I'm going to turn back on our screen here. So now, I'm going to hold up the machine for you. Your machine's going to be open, and you are going to want to set this dial to say paper. And then, or scrapbook paper, or I think it says our choices are cardstock, poster board, light cardstock, or paper. And there's some other ones too, and I can show you that stuff down the road. And you're going to want to load in your mat. So it's going to be open, plugged into your computer via USB. You're going to put your paper on the mat, fill up the whole space. You definitely want to stick within the boundaries because the blade does not sense where the paper is and is not. So I've sliced my fair share of mats by not being careful. And then the paper the mat rather, gets loaded into the machine. And you would hit go. I don't think it's going to let me do anything because we're not connected. So here it's going to walk me through making sure I connect. Once I do that and everything's connected and ready to go, the mat's loaded, so on and so forth, this little Cricut button, sorry, it's really hard to work in an opposite camera. This little Cricut button is going to start flashing, and that's basically your start button. You press it, and you're going to load in this first mat. And then we have two mats, so I always just make sure while this one's cutting to load this one up with paper so that I can just feed it through and start cutting it. So let's talk about changing colors. I cut a bulletin board for Mary in the hallway, and you might have saw that it had different colors. So once your letters are ungrouped, you actually have the ability to change the color of each letter. So let's pretend I'm going to cut like different fall colors. So I want this letter orange, and I'm going to make a pattern. Then I wanted this one to be another color. I can actually change them. Oh, of course, it's going to be persnickety today. I can actually change them as I go, and each one will assign itself to the correct mat. So this mat's cutting in black, this mat's cutting in black, this mat is cutting in yellow. So I can actually recolor all of my letters to get exactly what I want. So let's move on past letters really quick. Or actually, I'll show you how to make a sticker. How about that? So I'm going to regroup these because I am not going to cut it as paper. So let's pretend I want to make a label for my book bins or something. So I'm going to shrink this back down and pretend we're making a sticker. And I am going to keep in mind that for a sticker, I want it to fit in my space, because typically a sticker you're going to make pretty small. If you want to make big vinyl art, we can get into that. It's a little more difficult, but we're talking something like this today. So I know it's white and it's hard to see, but this is a sticker, kind of like what I have on my cup here. This is a sticker that I created using the Cricut. And you want it all to fit on your 12 by 12 mat to make it easy. So I'm going to regroup this into the size I want. I'm going to measure stickers. I typically make mine about 1 inch, but it really depends on the surface you're working with. Again, you could recolor it, but then that's going to separate all of your letters. And for a sticker, you usually want a nice together piece so it's easy to use. So it's going to, oh, we've got it ungrouped still. Oh, sorry. We've got to regroup all of that together so that we can have one sticker. It doesn't want to cooperate with me today. Anyways, you would go ahead and cut, and you would switch your dial here to vinyl this time. When it comes to taking the vinyl off, I'd be happy to walk you through that your first time. I have wasted my fair share of vinyl by making lots of mistakes. So if you're nervous about it, please come talk to me and I will walk you through it. A lot of people ask where's the best place to get vinyl. You can buy it at Michael's, Hobby Lobby, Joann. You might even be able to get it at Walmart. I'm not entirely sure. You do not have to buy the Cricut brand vinyl. My mom and I buy a lot of stuff off of Etsy. If you're looking to do a certain project and you don't know what type you need, please feel free to come talk to myself or any of the other people in the building that own Cricuts. I'm sure they'd be happy to walk you through it. Really quick, I want to show you how to do an image outside of a shape. Cricut does have images that you can use. Some are free, some are paid. So just for example, right here, I see one $1.99. I see others that say purchase. That just means we have it for these next 3 months until it expires. So I could click and insert that if I chose to, or I could search. But a lot of times you're going to find something on Google. So let's see. I've already done a paw print. Let's do a cupcake because that was the first thing I saw. So I'm going to go search, and the good librarian in me is telling you not to actually do this. But I'm going to go search for an image that I might want. Honestly, stuff like this is a lot easier to work with. Stuff that's black and white is going to be really easy for you to clean up. So I want you to save this to your computer. Remember, the good librarian in me is telling you not to take things from Google. I'm going to save it, and from there I'm going to go back into my design space. Maybe, there we go. And I'm going to upload an image. So I'm going to upload and find that image on my computer wherever I just saved it. I could have swore I put it in pictures, but I'm actually not seeing it. Let's check my downloads really quick. Figuring, of course, I did not save it. By what I wanted. Yeah, okay, it's a mystery. Who knows where I saved that? Anyways, you should probably title your image so you can find it more easily, as opposed to me over here just kind of guessing. So let's just say I'm going to cut this right here, or let's do an image to give you guys a better idea. So once I have my image selected, typically it's a simple image. I don't often work with complex images. I'd be happy to help you explore that down the road. But now what it's going to have us do is it's going to have us clean up the area. So really what you want to do is make sure this is all checkerboard. That means that it's transparent around it. That means that that's your dead space, and the only thing you want cut out is what's right here in color. I'm going to hit continue. And I typically do not ever print anything. People that are really into sticker making will print stuff and then cut it. I always just save mine as a cut image because that's typically all I'm doing. So like if I were going to put this on a bulletin board, I now have 1,000 ball prints that I've uploaded as demonstrations to choose from. But I could pick this. I could then insert it. Resize it to whatever size I want. So I want this to match my letters I just cut. So I'm going to stretch it out to be right around 5 inches. And then when I'm ready to cut, I can go ahead and switch over, load up my mat, and cut my vinyl. So hopefully this helped you a little bit. You can also set the canvas. I know some people were talking about wanting to make banners, wanting to make gaggy shirts, things like that. Keep in mind that iron-on can be very picky sometimes. I threw away $30 worth of vinyl once. But you can even set your canvas if you want a good idea of what you're working with. So I can go in and pick out, my size shirt. I can even change the color if I'm really wanting to get a good image. And this is actually how I designed our staff shirts, is I just used this space to get a rough idea of what I wanted. So it'll kind of pre-size it out for you. You, of course, really want to measure your bulletin board, measure your shirt if you are making something. And then you can start inserting and adding your text, your images, things like that. So I know this is a very basic and kind of goofy rundown. Always make sure that you save your projects. That way you can come back in and see them in the future. So like you can see, for example, I've got all my makerspace bins that I've made before, things like that. And I'd be happy to walk you through whatever you need walking through.